Millie, she's so cute. I'm like actually on the Florence By Mills website right now instead of being on the Ulta website, and she is just the cutest little 15 years I've ever seen. What's up, guys? Welcome back. So today we are going to be playing with Florence By Mills, Millie Bobby Brown's clean makeup line, and she did put out skincare. A lot of creators have been reviewing both. I just decided to go with the makeup for this video. So I have here the Like a Light skin tint in the shade F020. I have her See You Never concealer in F005. We'll talk about the shade range and the choices that I made when we get to putting the makeup on. Gorgeous Gia Cheek Me Later cream blush. Many thoughts on this. I have the Get Glossed lip gloss in the tiniest print ever in the shade Magnetic Mills. The Tint and Tame brow gel. I got it in the shade Honey. And I also got, it looks like kind of a newer part of the release, the Love Liv Florence By Mills eyeshadow palette. And it looks like this. So we're going to be putting all of these makeup items on my face today. We're going to be doing a full day wear test. This is not a first impression. I always have to clarify. I have had the chance to play with these products a couple of times before filming, but I'm really excited to share them with you guys, so let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so this is the current situation. I have a lot of skincare on, and I'm actually gonna put on some sunscreen here and some primer because I feel like this foundation that she has put out, it is wont to cling to dry spots or the occasional menstrual zit that you might have on your face. And any kind of smoothing that you can do on your skin ahead of time is going to benefit you in the future. So that was a little bit of SPF, and now I'm going in with just a touch of the Silk Canvas primer from Tatcha. It's really good for not just smoothing, but also keeping makeup from like seeping into your skin as much, keeping it from breaking you out. Also, the makeup will go on more evenly on top of it. Let's jump in with this guy. So like I said, I got the shade F020 in the Like a Light skin tint. I have found for my skin, especially after we've taken all the time to prime and everything, that a sponge is the best route. Even if I do end up wiping just a little bit with a sponge, it's better than going in with my hands, because my hands are going to pick up any of the dry skin that I have and just exaggerate it, kind of shoving the pigment underneath those layers. And this is just not a foundation that's meant to be worn really high coverage. It's, you know, not for that. It's called a skin tint to begin with. But I also think that when you try to build it, sometimes the pigment can get kind of uneven. It's just not how it feels like it would prefer to be applied, you know? You can kind of like communicate with your makeup as you're putting it on, and you're like, what would you like to do? And it's like, please don't build me up. None of us will like the results. Let's talk about the See You Never concealer. This I saw and was like, oh dear, what have I done? Because this is a very light shade, but when it goes on, you guys, I kind of love it. It's like really serum-y. We're gonna talk about ingredients. I wanna know what makes it so serum-y. Yeah, that's like paper white, but you'll see once it kind of smooths out, as long as you don't put too much on, it's so beautifully brightening. I wore it in my last video when I did the Victoria Beckham collection because she doesn't have complexion products yet. And I just think that it adds such a beautiful brightness underneath my eyes. I think it's so pretty. I don't feel like I need a ton of coverage after I use it because it just brightens so well that, you know, even though you can still see a little bit of the pigmentation underneath my eyes, it's not pigmentation, it's like my skin being see-through, I still feel like it's very flattering. And when you're talking about like contour and highlight and everything like that, it doesn't always have to be the super exaggerated thing. You can sometimes just play with a really good pale shade that still matches your undertones, and it will kind of do the job for you without you ever risking like the two-tone chin and neck situation. It is pretty highly pigmented. I would say that It is more pigmented than the Glossier Stretch Concealer. This collection is being compared to Glossier quite a lot because it is very geared towards the younger set because it is light coverage. It is kind of beginner skincare, you know, a person's first introduction probably to more potent skincare ingredients and things like that. And we're not gonna powder this today. I don't believe that there is a powder in this collection, but everything does have a really nice dewy dry down to it. I mean, look at that, that's gorgeous. I'm gonna use my Salt New York palette though to just kind of like contour and things like that because we do have a contrasty situation going on right now, but I like it. It's a fun place to kind of dial my way back from. It's much easier than trying to pull light back out of my face. Okay, so got a little bit of color to my cheeks, and now we're going to go in with the Florence by Mills Cheek Me Later Cream Blush. Yeah, guys. I often think that two shades or two formulas are really similar, and I will often be wrong, but look at this. This is the Florence by Mills. This is the Onami. So the Onami cheek, which I'm obsessed with. It's the Boosting Lip and Cheek Stick. This bad boy is 30 bucks for 0.23 ounces. I don't think this was $30. I will put the price on the screen, but you get 0.19 ounces. So if you're looking for an inexpensive dupe here, this is a phenomenal inexpensive dupe. And that was in the shade Cruise. So I have the shade Gorgeous Gia, and I would say that Cruise and Gorgeous Gia are extremely, extremely similar. And I will link them both below so you can compare for yourself. We are probably going to have to doctor the rest of my face with a little bit more in between shades of blush because, as you guys know, one blush is never enough. So this though is going to go on first, and it is, I'm telling you guys, so extremely pigmented. Like, a little goes a very long way, so be careful. And that's me talking about blush. But it shears out really, really beautifully, and it looked more opaque on my hand because I already had a little bit of concealer on the back of my hand, but it is very, very clear, I guess you could say. You know, it doesn't have any opacity to it, and so the color is just like a pure wash, which means that it is going to translate really nicely on all skin tones. Yeah, I'm going to just use a little bit of the rose shade from my Salt New York palette to kind of blend up in there. I need a little bit of cool tone, just a little. So for reference, it is that shade. It's very similar to my PYT Exhale blush that I use if I'm doing a powder look, just to blur the lines. It's so subtle, but at the same time, it just makes it look like it lives there. I want to talk about this eyebrow. Oops, I always do that. So this looks like it should be the handle, but it's not. It's actually the reservoir. This is the Tint and Tame Brow Gel in Honey. I saw the swatches online on Ulta. By the way, this is all available on Ulta. You don't have to order directly from her website anymore. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, I saw the swatches and I was like, is that glittery? Yeah, her brow gel is glittery. Never in my life did I think I needed a shimmery brow gel. And I'm gonna show you, I still don't. And I did watch Raw Beauty Christie review this before I bought it, and she had gotten a very, very unintentionally deep shade for her brows, and she found it to be really difficult to use, so I made sure to err on the side of a lighter shade, but it is still a very soupy formula. It doesn't have a ton of hold, and my one big weird thing is that it's super glittery. Like, why is it glittery? Maybe that's what the youths are doing these days. Millie Bobby Brown would know. She's so cool. She's half my age and 10 times cooler than I'll ever be, but I still think I might have just gotten the wrong shade too. It's just a little bit too warm gold for me. Anyway, so we're gonna go in with some lips now. I have the, like I said, Get Gloss lip gloss in Magnetic Mills, and it is a beautiful nude shade, and it's very intensely pigmented, much more than I would have expected from a kind of youth-oriented line, but it's so nude that I want to use my Kackie lip liner from Thrive just because I've used it without it and my lips disappear, basically. just me, or is that like a really grown-up shade of lip gloss? You know, I mean, even a buxom lip gloss, when it's got pigment to it, like White Russian or something, still is not this kind of like sexy nude. I like it a lot. I just don't know if I would want my teenager wearing it. There's just something very, I don't know, something very mature about it. I don't know why. Okay, let's put on a little bit of eye primer here from Thrive. I talked about this in my last video. This comes out November 6th, confirmed. And it is the Eye Lift 360-degree waterproof primer from Thrive Cosmetics, and it has become my new mainstay for my eyeshadow looks because it is great. It is very smoothing, but it's also very grippy, and you barely need any. This is a very, very every skill level eyeshadow palette, but it is not an every skin tone eyeshadow palette. So as you can see, we're working with just some really, really unscary shades here. Like very beginner friendly, semi-low pigment, kind of neutral to cool toned. They're not unpigmented. It doesn't read like, you know, a bad drugstore matte. It doesn't feel cheap, but it definitely feels like a beginner palette that's good for someone who's young. Like, you'd have to work pretty hard to get a super, super adult eye look out of this, I guess is what I'm saying. Which I really appreciate because I remember I started wearing makeup out of necessity when I was like 11. I started just having really bad acne and of course picking it and things like that. We won't go down that road, but I started probably wearing eyeshadow in high school, and there was no real direction. There was no help out there. We certainly didn't have YouTube tutorials at the time. I, you know, would buy what I thought looked good, but on as pale as my skin is, everything went really grown up really fast, like really, really dramatic high contrast. And this is very low contrast for pale skin tones. So keep that in mind. I don't think that these are shades that are really, I don't know, I've heard people say they could make any palette work on any skin tone, but I definitely, you'll see when I put these on, they read white girl, okay? Like, that's the easiest way to put it. So I'm just laying down a layer of Ducky, which is the palest shade, just setting my primer here. I like that she went paper on this. This is a cardboard package. And I'm gonna go in with Sisters, which is this one right here. And I'm going to just use that as a transition shade. And go kind of almost all the way up to the brow bone. You can see this is a very smooth formula, and it is helpful because it's low pigment. It's not chalky or anything like that. I don't feel like it's super dusty. It definitely has like a creaminess to it, but it's unpunishing. You don't feel like you're gonna get yourself in trouble really easily. You see what I mean? That's just like, it's just super chill. So I'm gonna go in with the deepest shade right here, which is called Hamptons, and it's still just like a cool tone taupey brown. And I'm gonna just build a little crease kind of up here, accentuate what I've got going on. And these have the consistency where you can like lay the product down and then move it later, which is great. It's very low stakes. Gonna use a little bit more of the second deepest shade and pull that back from the precipice a little. I'm kind of just pushing to see how much drama I can get from this palette because I don't think that it is really meant for that so much. It's like meant to kind of keep you out of trouble. So I'm gonna go back in with the white shade and sort of re-highlight everything and blend it all back down. One thing that is a tiny bit disappointing for this palette is just that the shimmers are not very shimmery. I feel like when you do kind of an affordable palette, shimmers are the easiest thing to nail, and these just don't get, I mean, they're probably not super meant to, but they're more satin than anything. So you end up with 3 mattes and this just kind of, not very iridescent satin. I'm gonna go in with Lulu, which is the deeper of the satins, which isn't really saying much. And you can see it still just comes off like pearl on my eyes. And I'm not like the biggest fan of that. I wish that there was like a deeper taupey shade because that's what it looks like in the pan, but it's like, it's just got too much of like a warm golden shift. And it's not that I don't like the shade, it's just that like, why have both, I guess, because they look so similar once they get on your eyes. This is Angel, this is the palest shade. And yes, there's a subtle difference between the two, but like not enough that it warrants both of them being in the palette. They're basically the same color. Gonna go underneath just a little with the transition shade. And I'm gonna go in a little bit with it just because I don't love that shade of the shimmer. I wish it was more of like a Bambi blonde beige color instead of just being like gold. Those are the capabilities of this eyeshadow palette. I'm sure a trained makeup artist could do something way better than this, but I think that this is what you could probably expect to achieve. It's pretty straightforward. I don't necessarily think that it is a like challenging palette from the standpoint of the shade range or the formula. Like, it's easy to work with. I don't think that it's going to flatter every skin tone. I think it might even be a little too cool toned for my skin tone, but it is a good youth palette to keep your kid out of trouble, I guess. They want to wear eyeshadow and also stay out of trouble. Okay, this is gonna look a lot better with some mascara on, so I'll be right back. Okay, I don't feel like I look like myself because my eyebrows are like golden. Just gonna add some boy brow because it just looks bizarre. This is in brown. All right, at first blanch, and I mean this is not a first impression, but first blanch of this particular face of makeup, I feel pretty. I feel like everything is a nice shade match. I feel like everything's a nice consistency. I feel like I kind of chose wisely in terms of like nice neutral to like, you know, low-key skin tone-esque shades that flatter my skin. So let's go ahead and talk about prices, packaging, and ingredients. Now, this is a brand that self-identifies as clean. A lot of people ask me, you know, for Victoria Beckham and things like that, like, is this brand clean? I will only speak to whether a brand self-identifies as clean, and yes, they do. So the skincare line consists of an eye balm, under eye pads, a lip oil and a peel-off mask, a face mist, a face wash, a moisturizer, and a face scrub. I didn't really go that route just because I'm not going to change up my skincare routine. I know that this is not going to be something that blows my mind. It has a lot of lavender oils and things like that, and things that I don't really want to leave on my face like overnight. It's just a personal preference. So the Like a Light Skin Tint comes in 20 colors and it is $18. And I got it in the shade, like I said, F020, which is the second fairest shade, and the fairest shade has cool undertones. It is vegan, cruelty-free, paraben-free, synthetic fragrance-free, suitable for all skin types, and dermatologist tested. Okay, ingredients, we have water, glycerin, glycerol stearate, octyldodecanol, these are stabilizers, sunflower seed oil, cocoa caprylate, oat bran extract, sodium hyaluronate, tocopherol, which is vitamin E, meadow foam, delta lactone, meadow foam seed oil, avocado oil, shea butter, jojoba esters, magnesium aluminum silicate, which I want to say is like a oil absorber, tocopherol acetate, ethyl hexylglycerin, lecithin, squalane, maltodextrin, cetearyl alcohol, which is a fatty alcohol, so don't be freaked out, sodium stearyl glutamate, polyglycerol 4, caprate, xanthan gum, isoamyl laurate silicate, silica, bisaccharide gum, phenoxyethanol, disodium EDTA, citric acid, and pigments. So in this case, even though she went with some lavender oils and things like that in her skincare, this doesn't have any essential oils in it or anything like that. It just has like healthy stabilizer oils. Do be mindful that there is shea butter in it though. Some people's skin gets irritated by shea butter, and there are also kind of coconut byproducts in this. But as these things go, I think that she went a really, really good route with the ingredients. I think that it performs nicely on the skin. The pigmentation is higher pigment than like a Glossier. I think that it's even higher pigment than like the Ilia skin tint or anything like that. A lot of these sheer tinted moisturizer type products tend to either boast like an SPF in them, which is just so silly to me because obviously that's not going to be enough. But even the Cover FX, or I don't know, I've tried a bunch of different ones, the Lily Lolo, they all are like crazy dewy. Like they almost have no pigmentation to them and they're just super, super dewy. And this will wear over the day and get a little dewier on me, but it doesn't go on and stay like tacky feeling on my skin, which is really nice. There's not even dimethicone in this, but it does have somewhat of its own dry down. It doesn't feel sludgy on my skin. The See You Never Concealer is $16 and you get 0.4 fluid ounces. I think that that's a very reasonable price for a clean beauty product that is geared towards youths. I have it again in the shade F005, which is the fairest shade. I don't know. It says fair with golden undertones, and so that is what I went with. I don't know, maybe I surprised myself. Maybe I'm actually paler than I think that I am. I think plenty of people would probably argue that watching me try to shade match myself. They're always like, no, Kackie, you're not that tan and you're not that gold. So just stop. It has, wow, very few ingredients. So we are talking cyclopentasiloxane, triglyceride. This does have dimethicone in it. Must be why I like you so much. Cyclohexasiloxane, butylene glycol, glycerin, polyglycerol 6, tocopherol acetate, tocopherol, polyglycerol 10, diolate, polymethyl cisqualoxane, mica, sodium chloride, phenoxyethanol, ethylhexylglycerin, triethylcaprylsilane, that's a new one on me, and pigmentation. So, safe synthetics route. It's interesting how for skincare, she went for the like naturals route, but her makeup goes purely performance. The Cheek Me Later Cream Blush is $14. Can't say enough about this formula. It's really, really beautiful. I think she did a fantastic job. It does come in 6 shades. Ethylhexyl palmitate, we would love to know where you source that from, Millie. Capri triglyceride, synthetic beeswax, so that's how they keep it vegan. Euphorbia cerifera, which is candida wax. Ozokerite, that's a new one on me. Tricapryline, isosteryl neopentanoate, kaolin, tocopherol acetate, caprylyl glycol, aluminum starch, octenyl succinate, silica, water, triexoxcaprylsilane, that new one on me, octyl-dodecanol, and pigmentation. So again, just stabilizers, things to make it go on the skin really creamy and clear, and then pigmentation. Some people will take issue with ethylhexyl palmitate being the first ingredient because not always, but typically that ingredient is derived from palm oil. Let's see if she has any kind of pledge as far as sustainable palm sourcing. Shall we? Ugh, Millie, she's so cute. I'm like actually on the Florence By Mills website right now instead of being on the Ulta website, and she is just the cutest little 15 years I've ever seen. It doesn't have anything specific about sourcing specifically the ethylhexyl palmitate, but they're PETA certified and vegan action certified, so it sounds like they wouldn't be killing chimpanzees, but you never know. I just shot them an email asking, so maybe we'll know by the time this video goes up. Okay, the Get Glossed Lip Gloss comes in 5 shades. She's $12, you get 0.14 ounces, and ingredients-wise, polybutene, octyl-dodecanol, bis diglycerol, oh boy, tricapryline, ceramicrocrystalline, which is microcrystalline wax, euphorbia, so candida wax, castor seed oil, silica dimethylsilylate, shea butter, icosine copolymer, hexadecene copolymer, neopentanoate, caprylyl glycol, tocopherol acetate, sorbitan oleate, isopropyl titanium triosstearate, and water, and then pigmentation. Again, no essential oils, nothing superfluous, no synthetic fragrances, no animal products. So pretty good there. So the Olivia Hope Foundation, which is what this eyeshadow palette is kind of based on, says Mills created this limited edition palette in memory of her friend Liv, who passed away after a fight with pediatric cancer. This palette contains 5 wearable shadows and soft creamy hues inspired by Liv. The velvety powder shadow blends easily and delivers high pigmented payoff, perfect for everyday play. We will donate $75,000 of the proceeds from the Love Liv eyeshadow palette to the Olivia Hope Foundation, which continues to support Liv's dream of finding a cure for childhood cancers. Cool. So the eyeshadows contain talc and mica as the first ingredients, then a dimethicone, polypropylene, ethylhexyl palmitate, cocoa glycerides, ascorbyl palmitate, tocopherol, dimethicone, zinc stearate, glycerol stearate, polybutene, caprylyl glycol, caprylyl oleate, laurel lysine, silica, hexyl glycol, dihydroacetic acid, lecithin, phenoxyethanol, disodium EDTA, citric acid, and tin oxide, as well as other pigmentations. So, the usual suspects for a very creamy eyeshadow blend. Mica, talc, those kinds of things, you never really know, but they are in a lot of products. I mean, there are definitely brands out there that completely stay away from those things. I know that Cover FX stays completely talc-free. Plenty of other brands do too. This one, however, contains them. All right, and finally, we have the eyebrow tint and tame brow gel. Comes in 5 shades, all the way from blonde to black. There is no clear, and you get 0.04 ounces. Ingredients: water, glycerin, mica. I think they could have left the mica out, Millie. Butylene glycol, PVP, acrylates, crust polymer, acrylate polymer, copolymer, phenoxyethanol, triethanolamine, galactoarabinin, and tin oxide and iron oxide, titanium dioxide for pigmentation. So I think we could have gone for some synthetic beeswax in this, a little bit more hold, skipped the mica. I don't care what age you are, you don't need sparkly eyebrows. That's just my personal opinion. But that is where we land on the ingredients. Packaging wise, they do use soft touch, which is not the best that it could be. Plenty, literally. Almost all brands use soft touch on their packaging because it's so lovely to interact with. But it is tougher on the manufacturing workers. It's not as great on their lungs and it's more difficult to recycle. This is perfect world kind of stuff. Like I said, I mean, I should not kick them for doing it without kicking everyone for doing it because everyone does it. We have a commitment to remain responsible to our planet and also to provide the best value to our customers. While we do employ single-use plastic in some of our items, we are dedicated to employing planet-friendly practices and are always looking for ways to improve. In addition, all Florence By Mills unit cartons are recyclable. Please consult your local recycling facility to understand the specific on-site capabilities. Hope this gives you more insight to our current practices, and as always, we are continually looking for new methods and practices, so if you have any suggestions, please send them our way. Millie, that's what's commonly known as a cop-out. At least do a send-back program. There is this really fantastic program called TerraCycle. It's expensive, but I don't think Millie is like hurting in terms of overhead. And they have found ways to recycle everything, okay? And I mean, there may come a day where I buy my own TerraCycle box when I need to finally just get rid of a bunch of stuff all at once. It is, like I said, especially from a personal standpoint, very expensive. I would say prohibitively expensive for most individuals who aren't handling this much makeup packaging or non-recyclable packaging, which is why I think that needs to be borne by the brands. It's really hard because as soon as you say that you want to do anything right, people come to you and they want you to do everything right. For everything, for everyone. It's a tough kind of line to follow because I don't want to sit here in an armchair about it. I know how difficult it is, and honestly, I don't even know how difficult it is in a lot of ways to meet all of those standards and still make an affordable product for, you know, kids. They probably care, and it was a difficult decision, but I think that they could do better. Okay, well, that was a lot. These are a lot of products. I love the way that they go on the skin. You guys know that I love a good skin finish. I love a good skin tint. This is a really nice level of coverage. I do like the fact that the shade ranges are large. I think that she did a really good job testing these formulations. I think a lot of people assumed that this was going to be a brand that she just stuck her name on, you know? She is definitely experiencing an absolutely viral sensation kind of fame, and she has really leaned into it beautifully. I love her Instagram, I love her style. I watch the YouTube videos of the interviews of all the kids from Stranger Things, and they're all so cute and funny and smart and articulate and just absolutely lovely. And I think that she is the kind of icon that is going to really grow into her role as an actress, like for the rest of her life. I think that she's got the poise, she's got the mind for business, and she's obviously surrounding herself with the right people to get things done. And I admire that about her. Like I said, she's half my age and 10 times cooler than me. So I think she's doing a lot of the right things, and I think that this is a really pretty face of makeup. So let's do one zoom in real quick and then we will jump into the wear test. Why have I never pushed that button before? Why have I always made this so difficult? I've been wearing this concealer quite a bit lately because it does such a good job of mimicking natural skin texture and blending down, and it can carry the weight of powder. Now granted, I've been using the Root Setting Silk, which is extremely lightweight, but this cooperates well with it, and I think that the foundation, all told, let's see if we can refocus here. You can see it kind of catching on my dry spots. That is less than ideal circumstances, obviously, to test a foundation in. But if you do have dry spots like I do, we don't all have like perfectly smooth skin, then you can see that it's going to try to grab that. I mean, just like pretty much anything will, if it doesn't have a whole lot of like emollient stabilizers in it. That's why I put a lot of primer on, that's why I put a lot of skincare on, things like that. But all told, I don't think that that's the worst thing in the world. I would just recommend using a sponge to dab it on, not your hands to rub it on, because it will pick that skin up. I do think that as far as coverage is concerned, this is a really good complexion set of products for a teenager. I don't think that it's unreasonable. I think that the color choices are really good for teenagers too. I do think this lip gloss is a little bit like Lisa Rinna, like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for a teenager, but still, you know, I'll give it to her. Let the kids be adventurous. It's fine. Yeah, I like the way all of this went on, but we're going to see how it wears for the rest of my day. So I will check in with you guys in 8 hours and we will have some final thoughts. Hello, fam. Welcome back, me. It's the end of my day. I'm wearing all of my dog walking clothes. I have had, oh yeah, yes, what? Anyway, guys, I have some final thoughts for you here. So, 1, the foundation wore beautifully. We're gonna do one more zoom in to show you, but it stayed so beautiful, and yes, it's cold outside, so I can't speak to whether or not it will withstand like 100-degree temperatures. It remains to be seen, but at least for a full day of wear, this knocks my socks off in terms of just longevity and staying relatively the same all day. Nice skin finish, not doing anything weird or patchy or greasy or just odd and like breaking up. I will say that the concealer also performs really, really beautifully underneath my eyes. No powder or anything. I didn't end up with any creasing situation. I have done something irreversible here because now I can't put this mirror back down because of the chaos. Cool. The only thing that's really suffered is just where I keep wiping my nose because it just keeps running, and that's nothing to do with the makeup. One of the things that I'm super impressed by is how true the pigment on the blush has stayed. I think that it is such a good value. I cannot recommend it enough. If you haven't wanted to splurge on that price point for the Onami, it is literally the exact same color as Cruise. It is literally like an almost indiscernible texture. I say go for it. The eyeshadow palette, while I think that it's for a good cause, is pretty forgettable. It's great for the youths, and if you are not necessarily a big everyday eyeshadow person, but you're looking for like one palette that just has basics in it, this is a pretty good basics palette, but most of us already have basics in our collection. Completely missable is the eyebrow. Just, we don't need shimmery eyebrows. I think I made that pretty clear throughout the video. And the lip gloss kind of disappointed me. I don't know if, I think I kind of cut through it, but I reapplied it a couple of times throughout the video when I was filming earlier, and I reapplied it again right before I started the wear test, and it doesn't last at all. It's crazy because I think, you know, it's got a really nice thick texture to it and everything, but what I feel like they were going for with that formula was very similar to the Glossier Play Vinylic Lip, that just highly pigmented, very saturated, very glossy lip color, and this has a lot better longevity. So the Florence by Mills lip gloss is $12. The Glossier Play Vinylic Lip is $16. I would say spend the extra $4, get something with some better longevity. They're very, 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 very similar formulas. As you can see, what I was talking about a minute ago, my upper lip is just a wreck. And it's because my nose is running so much all the time that I always end up wiping everything off. That is, again, not the makeup's fault. Even in this spot where I have an unsightly little scab situation, it didn't like dry up and get all weird on me. I appreciate that. Underneath my eyes, I mean, honestly, it looks like when I put it on. It's just really a low-key face of makeup that I wish existed when I was 15. So that is where I leave you guys today. I hope that this was enjoyable. I really like most of these products. But yeah, if you guys have any additional questions about this collection, I will aim to address them in the comments. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you found it enjoyable and or helpful, do give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, guys, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching today and for hanging out with me. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.